Imagine walking into a courtroom where the air is thick with tension. Lawyers shuffle their papers, witnesses whisper nervously, and the judge sits sternly, waiting for the truth to unfold. But in this case, the truth wasn't in a witness's memory or in piles of evidence stacked on the lawyer's desk. The truth was hidden, literally, waiting to be exposed by something no one expected: hidden cameras. And when those recordings finally came to light, the entire courtroom gasped. The cameras revealed things that words could never describe, and the case changed forever. Welcome to today's story, when hidden cameras revealed the truth. Before we dive deeper into this unbelievable turn of events, make sure you subscribe to our channel because we bring you daily stories filled with suspense, mystery, and powerful lessons you won't want to miss. It all started with a simple case, a family dispute that seemed no different from thousands of others filed in courtrooms every year. Two siblings were fighting over their late father's inheritance. The arguments were heated, the accusations harsh, and both sides claimed to have proof. On one hand, the sister claimed that her brother had forged documents to take over the property. On the other, the brother argued that his sister was lying and trying to manipulate the family for money. To most, it looked like a typical case of greed tearing a family apart. But what no one in the courtroom knew was that inside the house, at the center of the dispute, hidden cameras had been quietly recording everything for months. These weren't planted by the police or the lawyers. They had been installed years earlier by the father himself, who had grown suspicious of how his children behaved behind his back. He wanted the truth for himself, but after his passing, those recordings sat forgotten in the corners of the home, until the lawyers digging through the property stumbled upon them. The discovery was nothing short of shocking. The attorneys hesitated at first. Could these recordings even be used in court? Would they be admissible? But one lawyer, determined to prove the real story, fought to have the footage reviewed. And when the judge agreed, the stage was set for a revelation no one could have prepared for. The first video clip flickered onto the screen in the courtroom. Everyone leaned forward, lawyers, jury, even the siblings at the center of the storm. The footage began simple enough: a family dinner, laughter, casual conversations. But then came the moment where everything changed. The cameras revealed conversations, late at night, where one sibling plotted against the other. Lies that had been spoken in court were suddenly exposed. The truth, raw and undeniable, was there for everyone to see. The entire room fell silent. This wasn't just testimony. This wasn't just speculation. The courtroom was frozen in disbelief as the footage continued to play. The brother, who had been so confident in his arguments, sat pale and motionless, his eyes darting nervously as the truth unfolded before everyone. The hidden cameras captured him sneaking into his father's study late at night, rifling through documents and whispering over phone calls about changing signatures and hiding records. The sister, who had been dismissed as overly dramatic, now had the truth standing firmly in her corner. What she couldn't prove with words was suddenly undeniable with video. The jury shifted uncomfortably in their seats. Lawyers whispered in shock, and even the judge leaned closer to the monitor, his normally stern expression softening into disbelief. This wasn't just evidence. It was the kind of truth that could end the case instantly. And yet, the brother's attorney tried to fight back. He stood up and argued about legality, about privacy, about whether hidden cameras should even be allowed as evidence. But deep down, everyone knew the truth could not be unseen. The sister sat quietly, tears in her eyes. For months, she had been painted as greedy, manipulative, and dishonest. She had endured accusations, character attacks, and the humiliation of people believing her brother's lies. But now, the silent observer, the hidden camera her father had installed, was speaking for her. It was as if her late father had reached out from beyond, ensuring that justice would prevail. The turning point of the case was clear, but the drama was far from over. The defense attorney demanded the rest of the footage be reviewed, desperate to find something that could discredit the sister or soften the blow against his client. And so, the court agreed to continue watching. The next clips shocked everyone even further. They didn't just reveal the brother tampering with documents. They showed conversations where he boasted to friends about how easily he would win in court, how his sister would never see a dime, and how he would rewrite the family's story in his favor. The arrogance, the greed, and the betrayal were all there, captured in plain sight. By now, whispers filled the courtroom. The jury exchanged knowing looks. The truth was undeniable, and the weight of the evidence was crushing. The brother sat with his head down, unable to meet anyone's eyes. His entire defense was crumbling before him, and the lies he had carefully built were turning into chains that trapped him. The judge finally called for a recess, giving everyone a chance to breathe. Reporters outside the courtroom rushed to spread the story, calling it one of the most shocking trials of the decade. Hidden cameras, a father's foresight, and a family torn apart by greed. It was a case that would be remembered for years. But as the sister stepped out into the hallway, surrounded by flashing cameras and microphones, she didn't smile. She didn't celebrate. Because even the courtroom reconvened after the recess, and everyone returned with a mixture of tension and anticipation. The hidden cameras had already revealed enough to tilt the case heavily in the sister's favor, but the remaining files promised more. The judge instructed the technician to play the next set of recordings, and silence fell once again. This time, the screen flickered to life with footage of a conversation between the brother and his lawyer in a private office. The brother leaned back in his chair, smug and careless, speaking as though no one in the world could ever hear him. He admitted openly that his father's final wishes were irrelevant because money was power, and he would take what he believed was his. The lawyer, clearly uncomfortable, warned him about going too far, but the brother laughed it off, bragging that his sister was too weak to fight him. Gasps rippled through the courtroom. It wasn't just evidence of tampering now. It was evidence of intent, arrogance, and betrayal on full display. The sister covered her mouth, shaking her head, unable to believe that her brother could speak about her with such venom. For her, this wasn't just a legal battle anymore. It was the painful truth that the person she once loved and trusted as family had turned into a stranger, driven by greed. As the jury took notes, the judge looked more severe than ever. Every new clip made the defense's case weaker and weaker. But the real shock came in the final piece of footage from that day. The hidden camera in the father's study had captured something no one expected. The father himself, weeks before his death, recording a personal message. He looked tired, frail, but his voice carried strength. He spoke of his love for both his children and his fear that money would tear them apart. He admitted he had installed cameras not out of suspicion, but out of hope that if things ever went wrong, the truth would still be known. His last words echoed through the courtroom. "If you are watching this, it means my fears came true. Remember, no amount of money can replace family. Choose love over greed." The room was silent. Some jurors wiped their eyes. Even the reporters sat stunned, scribbling slower than usual, realizing they were witnessing history. The brother shifted uncomfortably in his seat, his face pale, but he couldn't escape his father's voice echoing through the hall of justice. The sister wept openly. She wasn't crying because she had won. She was crying because her father's greatest fear had come true. What should have been a bond of love between siblings had been shattered by greed. And though the truth was now revealed, nothing could restore the trust that was lost. The judge adjourned for the day, leaving the final verdict for tomorrow. Reporters outside declared it the trial where a hidden camera spoke louder than any witness. The story spread across headlines, sparking debates about morality, greed, and the value of family. But the most haunting question remained. Would justice truly bring peace, or was the damage already beyond repair? The final day of the trial arrived, and the courtroom was filled to the brim. Journalists, lawyers, and curious onlookers all gathered, waiting for the verdict in what had become one of the most talked-about cases of the year. The air was heavy with tension as the judge took his seat, files neatly stacked in front of him. The brother sat rigidly at the defense table, his once confident expression now hollow and anxious. The sister sat quietly, her eyes fixed on the ground, as if bracing herself for whatever outcome awaited. When the judge began to speak, the room fell completely silent. He recounted the evidence, the testimonies, and most importantly, the damning footage from the hidden cameras. He noted how the father's recorded message was not only proof of intent, but also a heartfelt plea that transcended the courtroom. The judge's voice carried weight when he declared that the will had been tampered with, and the rightful heir to the diamond ring and the estate was the daughter. Gasps echoed through the courtroom, followed by a murmur of approval. The brother slumped in his chair, defeated, his arrogance stripped away. His greed had not only cost him the inheritance, but also his reputation, his dignity, and the bond with his family. The sister, on the other hand, broke down in tears, not of victory, but of sorrow. She had won the case, but she had lost her brother in the process. Outside the courtroom, cameras flashed as reporters swarmed to capture her reaction. She spoke softly, her voice trembling, saying that no diamond, no wealth, and no fortune could ever replace love and family. Her words struck deep, reminding everyone listening that while money can shine like gold, it can never heal a broken heart. And so, the trial ended, not as a story of wealth gained, but as a cautionary tale about greed, betrayal, and the price of truth. The diamond ring, once a symbol of beauty, had become a symbol of loss, of choices made in selfishness, and of the devastating cost of forgetting what truly matters. As we close this story, take a moment to reflect. Hidden cameras may have revealed the truth in court, but in life, our actions reveal who we really are. Greed can blind us, but love and honesty will always shine through in the end. Thank you for staying with us through this powerful story. If you found meaning in it, don't forget to subscribe to our channel for daily videos filled with lessons, stories, and reflections that matter. And remember, no diamond, no wealth, no material possession is greater than love, trust, and family. Treasure what you have before it becomes a memory.